So what I wanted to do is basically quickly go over how one would achieve such a thing. So you take your template that you have in your notes and you would print it out. You would get your tracing paper and trace over it just like this, have it placed over there. And you're going to, what I decided to do was use a magazine that I had. Sometimes I'll go through my magazines that I favor certain garments from, and I'll say, you know, what are some things that I enjoy? For this one, I love the bodice of this dress right here. So I kind of just like label bodice. Here, I just love the silhouette and the shape of this. I love the fullness of the peplum in this dress. And here, if you can see the neckline and the sleeves, as it has this sort of cutout aesthetic here, and then you have the fuller sleeves at the bottom. So when I go through magazines, I like to sometimes just like circle and pin down different details that I enjoy about a particular garment. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and walk you guys through me creating a flat of one of these garments. I'm going to use the bodice from this dress. So to start, I'm going to go in and start around the neck area. You can see it's a high neck, so I'm going to make sure that I get the top of this collar as high as I possibly can get it to the top. As you can see, I'm not tracing the actual flat itself because that's not what I'm focused on. I just want to focus on the detail of the garment. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to initially just create the collar piece. Next, I'm going to use these lines here to dictate exactly where the next lines are going to be. So as you can see, it comes just alongside of her bodice. It's not an exact cut on her arm. It's coming slightly down. So that's what I'm going to do. My first shape is going to be here. So if someone is interpreting this, they understand that I don't want the neckline to go over this far. I want it to come in just a little. So the same on the other side. Then I'm going to have the waistband come up to an empire waist. That means I don't want this to hit exactly at her waist because we're going to have a pretty thick band there, waistband. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to go back and lightly create this sort of bubble because for me, I'm looking at gathering here. So I want to make sure that's a dress. The gathering here, I definitely want to make sure that that's picked up in my design. So I'm going to give a little bit of curve there. So whoever's reading this can say, you know what, there looks like to be a little bit of a fullness there. So let me add that in there when I'm doing my sewing or my pattern rather. Then I'm going to come just above the actual waistline because again, there's going to be a pretty wide band there. Next, I'm going to create that band that hits just the waist. And remember I said we're just doing the bodice here. So we're just doing the top of this because that's what I favor of this dress. And then I'm just going to bring that final waistband line right there because that's where it sits right about our waist. So I'm just going to bring that finally there. And then I'm going to go back and create this sort of bubble or bow effect. So the way I do my bows, I first start here with like a long teardrop, and then I bring it here, and then I do it again, like a very elongated, thin teardrop, and then I do it again here, and then lastly, I just kind of sweep it here. Now, as you can see, hers is more off to the side, and I just brought mine down to the middle more. I'm going to erase some of the lines so it looks more realistic and more as if it is on the figure. And lastly, to add my detail, now I'm going to go in and add these sort of gathering lines, right? Because I want them to know this is not flat, it's rouge and it's gathered. So I'm just going to kind of go and add these lines. And these are important so that you can see that the design is gathered. It's not, and that's important because if I didn't add these, the person who's creating the pattern is going to assume it's flat, and I'm not going to get this gathered look. I'm going to get a smooth look, and that's not the sketch that I wanted. That's not the design that I want. I wanted a gathered look. And I'm going to add the same lines to the bow because I also want it to be a fluffy bow, and I want that to come across as well. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of gathering to the band, but not too much because that is a little flatter, and I don't want that much gathering to the waistband. So essentially, this is what the design comes to look like. So we remove the flat template, and here we are. We have the bodice of the dress, and as you can see, it's very similar to the look that we were going for. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Videos are uploaded weekly covering dressmaking, fashion, lectures, and more.